off a convincing win in the series opener last night. The Twins hitters teed off in the friendly confines of Yankee Stadium. Oswaldo Arcia with an early home run, his second in 4 games. He and Josh Willingham making an immediate impact in their return to the lineup as Willingham hit his second homer in as many games. Trevor Plouffe also showed off some power last night for his 5th home run of the season as the Twins hit 3 homers in 1 game for the very first time this season. But today, a tough test awaits in Masahiro Tanaka, who has been lights out for the Yankees in his first season. 2-0 at home with one of the best ERAs in all of baseball. Kevin Correia will go for the Twins after a strong start last week, and today he makes his first start at Yankee Stadium in his 12-year career. Welcome to Game 2 of this weekend series between the Twins and Yankees. I'm Jamie Hirsch. The Twins won 6-1 last night for their 3rd straight win at Yankee Stadium, a rare and welcome change of fortune for them. It hasn't happened since 1992. Here's how they got it done. July 13th of last year, the Twins used the long ball to get to then Yankees starter Phil Hughes with 3 home runs in a 4-1 win. The very next day, the Twins followed up with 8 runs against CC Sabathia to get their first series win in the Bronx in 40 games. That one was a 10-4 win. And then, of course, last night, 3 more home runs off Vidal Nuno to give the Twins an early lead in a convincing 6-1 win over a team that has haunted the Twins over the last decade or so. And if you look at the last 41 games, the difference is remarkable between those 3 wins and the previous 38 games. Nearly twice as many runs per game and a much improved ERA really tells you all you need to know about this change of fortune. So, the home runs are starting to fly, but of course, Dick Bramer, Roy Smalley, the Twins face a very tough test today and a good pitcher, Masahiro Tanaka.
Absolutely, Jamie. When the Twins were crossing their fingers, waiting for the return of Oswaldo Arcia and Josh Willingham, they hoped that when they got them back, they'd start hitting home runs right away, and that's exactly what's happened.
It's perfect timing to have the 2 guys that you're counting on most in your lineup to get back there and supply the punch, and they certainly did that. Arcia got the ball rolling actually last week, but continued here with a bolt into the second deck in right. Willingham followed with it, one into the bullpen, and then Trevor Plouffe into the center field seats to follow up. These 3 guys are going to be the guys that will supply the power in this Twins lineup.
As we take a look at our Coors Light cold hard facts, what a change so far this year. Look at what we've watched for the last 3 years. A tremendous imbalance in the number of home runs allowed versus the number of home runs hit. And at least so far this year, the Twins have actually hit more than they've allowed.
And well, that's a recipe for success right there, winning ball games. If you hit the ball out of the ballpark more than you allow the other guys to do so, you're probably going to win some games. And that's exactly what they're looking to do now. Good starting pitching, get those big boppers back in the middle of the lineup.
Tough assignment, though, here this afternoon. Tanaka of the Yankees, Masahiro Tanaka, has not allowed a home run in his last 5 ball games, and he's only lost once in the last year and a half. The Twins will have a tough time with the Yankee right-hander this afternoon.
Well, this guy had no idea what he was going to do coming out of the Japanese league. Never pitched an inning in the big leagues here, but he's got big league stuff at this level. There's no question about it. Throws strikes with 4 or 5 different pitches anytime he wants to, and that is really, really tough on hitters.
The only team to beat Tanaka this year, the Chicago Cubs. The Twins will try to do that, maybe hit a home run or 2 along the way as well this afternoon in the Bronx. Twins fans know all too well that success in Japan does not necessarily translate to success in the big leagues, but so far the Yankees have gotten more than they could have hoped for from Matsuhiro Tanaka. And Ron Gardenhire and the Twins will face him actually for the second time. They faced him in spring training, not that that mattered, but at least they got some idea, to use the manager's term, how the ball comes out of his hand. And the Menards batting order for Ron Gardenhire and the Twins in game 2. Brian Dozier in the leadoff spot. Eduardo Escobar moving up to the number 2 spot in the absence of Danny Santana. Joe Mauer, the designated hitter, hitting third. No surprise, Willingham Arcia Plouffe hitting in the middle of the Twins lineup after the 8th homered last night. Chris Parmalee getting the start at first base. Josmil Pinto behind the plate, and Aaron Hicks in center.
And the All-America scouting report on Masahiro Tanaka, 4+ quality pitches, and I say plus because he has variations on fastballs, curveballs, and then has a split finger. He'll throw any of them at any time. And the word about this young man, a real competitor out there on the mound. Talking about his different pitches, that 2 fastballs, a 2-seam that he tries to sink away from left-hand hitters, and then he'll cut a fastball away from right-handers in on left-handers. He has a curveball that he'll throw at 2 different speeds, and then their strikeout pitch, and the really, really tough one, is a great splitter that looks like a fastball coming out of his hand and dives straight down.
Northland Ford defense for the Yankees. An outfield of Gardner, Ellsbury, Soriano. Look at the infield. It's not exactly Cano, Jeter, and Rodriguez, is it? Teixeira at first, Solarte and Ryan up the middle, Johnson at third, and McCann behind the plate. Here's Dozier leading things off for the Twins. First pitch off the glove of the third baseman Johnson, and Dozier's aboard with an infield hit. We've seen Brian do that more and more, jumping on the first pitch of a game and pulling it with authority. And
I would say that that will be a real good recipe for all the Twins, as we see a fastball down the middle to get the game started, and Brian ready for it, jump all over it. If you're going to get to a guy that throws this many pitches, different kinds of pitches with success, I think the plan should be to get on the fastball early in the count and don't miss it when you see it, because he's got a lot of weapons if you get behind.
They took the hit off the board and now have charged Johnson with an error. Dozier is aboard, and 1 strike now to Eduardo Escobar, the shortstop. Hole, and in the dirt, Dozier will advance to second base.
Oh, really good jump and preparation, readiness right there by Brian Dozier. He saw this ball in the dirt, and right there he was off and running, and McCann had no chance. That ball's not that far away, but you see how Brian, very little hesitation. That ball's in the dirt. He's thinking about getting up 90 feet, and that's what this game's about. Get as many extra 90 feet as you can.
See whether Escobar can move him up another 90 or more. 1-1. Landed 5 feet in front of the plate. 2-1. So a couple of splitters in the dirt. And the Twins, again, many of these hitters had a chance to face Tanaka in March, giving them a little background on what he throws, how he throws it. 2-1 to Escobar. Bounce to the right side, bobbled. It's a fair ball, and Escobar will be retired. Teixeira got back to the bag, and Dozier did move up 90 feet.
Good at bat there by Eduardo Escobar. Move the ball to the right side. If you get a hit, great. But at the very least, get that guy over to third base with less than 2 out. A team wants to do that every chance, every opportunity they get, but it's especially important against a guy that is a good pitcher. You think the runs are going to be at a premium, the hits are going to be at a little bit of a premium. If you can score a run with no hits at all in the inning, that's going to be very big.
Bauer, the batter. 10 starts for Tanaka. All 10 have been quality starts. The Twins have a chance to get a first inning run. And Mauer takes a strike on the outside corner.
I would say that the theme today should be get this guy early, and that's true in both the specific sense and in the macro sense. Specifically, hit fastballs early in the count. Don't get behind. And from a team standpoint, when a good pitcher's out on the mound, your best chance is to get him in the first inning or 2 or 3. You got to get him early before he settles in.
Strike 2 on the outside corner. Tanaka has not given up a home run in his last 4 starts. Here, Mauer would just simply like to get a ball to the outfield. Infield playing back. They're giving the Twins the first run if Mauer can put it in play. 2 down.
And there's the splitter. That's a strikeout pitch right there. That's why you don't want to get to 2 strikes. This ball comes out of his hand looking like a fastball. Looks like a low fastball that Joe will like, and then the bottom drops out of it.
Jim Wolf. Behind the plate, Brian Gorman, David Rackley, Tony Randazzo. Josh Willingham, the batter. Hit a home run into the bullpen in left center last night. It's a long poke. The 399 sign is right in front of the bullpen area. There's strike 1. And last night and again today, we've got a pretty stiff north breeze blowing in from left field. See the flags on top of the facade here at Yankee Stadium blowing in from left. 1 strike to the Twins left fielder. To right field and down for a hit. Willingham drops a single in front of Soriano, and the Twins get Dozier in with the first run.
Nice at bat by Josh right there. Tanaka tried to paint him 2 times on the outside corner. The second time, Josh stays with it. Didn't try to pull that ball. Didn't hit it particularly hard, but all of those count. And when you're swinging the bat well, you tend to get a lot more of those kind of hits. And we'll take them all. Any hitter would take any hit like that anytime.
Well, some satisfaction too, because you may have seen the Yankees had a shift on an infield shift for Willingham with 3 infielders on the left field side of second base. Now they do the reverse for Arcia with 3 infielders on the right field side.
Started Oswaldo off there with a split finger. That's not his normal pitch selection, first pitch, but Arcia and most of the Twins, Dozier one of them, but especially Arcia, first ball fastball hitter. He's not up there to take. He's up there to swing at it. And pitchers don't want to throw him a first pitch fastball if they can help it.
Chop foul, 2 strikes.
I always think that's funny too. You mentioned the shift for Willingham. So you move everybody around to the left, and then you throw in 2 fastballs on the outside corner. You know, I mean, it's you got to pitch into your alignment a little bit.
2 strikes to Arcia. Get a 0-2 pitch for a home run last night. Half-hearted swing, the inning ends. The Twins take advantage of the Yankee error and get a big 2-out hit from Willingham. Yankees can even this series at a game apiece. 1 year with the Marlins as manager, 7th year with the Yankees. Of an armed batting order for New York. Brett Gardner leading off. Derek Jeter, the designated hitter, batting second. Jacoby Ellsbury drove in the lone Yankee run last night. Then Mark Teixeira, Brian McCann, Alfonso Soriano, Yervis Solarte, Kelly Johnson, and Brendan Ryan.
And Kevin Correia on the mound for the Twins. He have 2 fastballs also. Wants to sink it and throw a little bit of cutter. The most important thing for Kevin, mix those 2 fastballs with your breaking ball and changeup, and use both sides of the plate. He's got to move the ball around the strike zone.
And a first pitch strike.
And first pitch strikes are good too.
Twins giving Correia some early run support. He has not pitched well, but he's not been given an abundance of run support either. So we'll see whether the 1 run holds up for a while. 1-1. Correia looking for his 3rd win of the year. His best outing of the year came in his first outing in May. 7 innings, just 1 run allowed, 5 hits, no walks, no home runs against the Orioles at Target Field. Since then, it's been a tough go for Kevin. 16 earned runs in a little more than 21 innings. 1-2. Long look into Pinto. Getting the start behind the plate today. Hope to left. And a base hit. Backhanded by Willingham. Gardner holding up with a leadoff single. Got 2 strikes on him, and then Gardner slapped a single to left. Take a look at the Northland Ford defense for the Twins. Twins have a left fielder in left, a center fielder in center, and a right fielder in right. It's been a while since we've said that, it seems like. Plouffe, Escobar, Dozier, Parmelee, the infielders, and Pinto behind the plate. A big part of the Twins' pitching struggles, as we've discussed, is simply the fact that the Twins have not had 3 outfielders in the 3 outfield spots very often this year, and they have that today. Jeter, the designated hitter. High and up around the hands.
And having infielders that play the 3 outfield spots makes you a little deficient both ways. Obviously, they're not used to playing the outfield from a defensive standpoint, but also it's not the it's not the big run producers that out there that you want from your corner outfielders either. They've not been able to avail themselves of Willingham and Arcia power for some time. And so nice to see those guys out there, that's for sure.
Correia with a step off, chasing Gardner back to the bag. Twins have given up a lot of stolen bases, and now teams are starting to exploit their running game a little bit more. To left and deep. 1 hopping the wall. Gardner to third. He'll be held at third. Jeter with a double. And the Yankees come out swinging against Correia.
Fastball right in the middle of the plate. He's trying to run that ball in on Jeter and gets way too much of the plate. The other thing I think that happened right there is that Derek was cheating on that fastball a little bit. Teams are pitching him in. It's late in his career. It's starting to look like he's just a tad slower on the inside fastballs. A lot of teams trying to pitch Derek in now, and I think he's getting a little bit tired of it. The Twins got deep in his kitchen a couple of times last night. I think Derek went up there saying, okay, I'm looking for the ball in. You're going to pitch me in there. I'm looking for it. I'm going to cheat a little bit, get the bat head out. And that ball didn't get in far enough.
Ellsbury, the batter. Second and third, nobody out. Correia from the full windup. Outside ball 1. Ellsbury cracked an RBI double last night against Ricky Nolasco. The only run the Yankees scored. down the middle, a strike, 1-1.
So far, Kevin going with his variety of fastballs, trying to either sink it or cut the ball a little bit. Not a lot of change of speed yet, and I really think that's important for Kevin Correia. I think when he's effective, he's throwing a slower curveball and a changeup a lot in the count, using all of his pitches right from the very beginning.
Check swing foul.
He's the kind of pitcher that doesn't have enough fastball to throw it by guys on a consistent basis, but he can if he gets some confusion in a hitter's mind because they're concerned about something slower that he's getting over, a curveball or a changeup. But you have to be so fine, you have to be so good on the corners. If all you're throwing is a couple of different fastballs, you just have to be so good. And I'd really like to see Correia with a more assortment of slower stuff.
1-2 to Ellsbury. Chopped off the plate, and it'll go foul.
That was the curveball there.
Correia with 55 and a third innings pitched, only 31 strikeouts.
This wasn't a great curveball, but at least it's showing the hitter something else. It's slower, and Ellsbury with not a good swing at that ball, and that will plant other things, other speeds in a hitter's mind. We talk a lot about having to pitch in and out, but you also have to pitch what we call back and forth, and that refers to the change of speed.
One and two to Ellsbury. Pulled foul.
Another breaking ball.
And it's 1-2 again. Twins with a 1-0 lead. They've got the infield playing back. They'll give up the tying run here just in their hopes of getting it out.
And Ellsbury, on the other hand, with nobody out, runners on second and third, he's trying to hit the ball to the right side, much as Escobar did for the Twins in the first inning. What that does is get one run in and one run, the other runner to third base with less than 2 outs. So he'd love to get a hit, but he wants his ball going to right field if he can.
Fouled back. And another 1-2 pitch coming. Long look in. Finally, Correia picks up the sign and delivers ball 2.
So far, Correia and Josmil Pinto not quite on the same page. They'll talk about it a little bit in the dugout. Pinto still needed to get used to a little bit to what some of his pitchers like to throw in different situations to different hitters in different counts.
This is the 4th time they've been battery mates this year. And now it's 3-2.
Mentioned that Jacoby Ellsbury wanting to hit the ball on the ground to somewhere to the right side. Correia trying to stay away from him, trying to avoid that if he can, and has gotten himself into a tough count here, 3-2.
Full count now to Ellsbury. And a walk fills the bases. He had him, got ahead of him, and launched him. And they're loaded up now for Martin Teixeira. Teixeira's batting average down a little bit. Still a potent bat. Has been dealing with a wrist injury on and off this year. Big spot for the Yankees early on against Correia. Still looking for his first out. Up and away, ball one.
Yeah, this is a tough spot. Teixeira, very, very good left-handed hitter, especially in this ballpark, and especially with the bases loaded. He's no stranger hitting the ball out of the ballpark with the bases loaded. Correia trying to stay away from it, away from that short porch in right field, but not real good control yet of that outside corner. That's what he's trying to do. He's trying to go out there, but just not able to get the ball on the corner to be effective. Now, really in a hitter's count, you'll see a guy with the experience and the ability of Teixeira get real fine in what he's looking for, trying to get the ball right exactly where he wants it.
Foul back, 2-1. Yankees don't have much exposure to Correia, just 2/3 of an inning. Some of their hitters do. So many of them played for other organizations. 2-1. 2-2. Twins coming into the game with a team ERA of 4.48, tied with the White Sox for last in the American League. It's a half run above the American League average. Good effort last night from Ricky Nolasco in the bullpen. Rough start to the afternoon for Correia. Pulled foul. 20 pitches thrown. And not a run on the board, nor an out. Two and two. McCann on deck.
Twins and Kevin Correia could use a hard one hopper right at Brian Dozier right about now. See if Kevin can get a ball to sink below the bat here a little bit.
Struck him out.
Exactly what it was. That's the best pitch he's had this inning. A real good sinker, ball down and moving that direction. We'll look at the pitch by pitch is from Correia to Teixeira. He's trying to hit the outside corner, just doesn't have that command yet, but he gets back into the count with a pretty good sinker there on the outside corner. He got away with one there. That was a fastball down the middle that Teixeira missed. Curveball fouled off, changeup just missed, and then a real good sinker right there. That was the best pitch of the inning.
How about your ground ball to Dozier right now?
That'd be nice.
Ball one.
We talked about Kevin needing to work both sides of the plate, and so far the issue this inning, he just doesn't have command of the outside corner yet. He's really trying to find it, but just hasn't found that outside corner release point yet.
1-0. And he falls behind McCann. 2-0.
Boy, I guess you don't want to load the bases ahead of Teixeira and McCann, do you? 10 grand slams. That's a lot of home runs with the bases loaded in a career.
2-0. Correia to McCann.
Keep it down. But over.
In the inning, a hard single, a harder double, a walk, a 3-2 strikeout, and now 3-0 to the 5th place hitter.
If I'm Joe Girardi, I'd give him the green light right here. Kevin's going to have to make a good pitch.
Hold foul, 3-1.
A guy with McCann's experience and his ability to hit home runs and hit so well with the bases loaded, there really is not much of a gamble at all turning him loose. 3-0. Joe Girardi, I know, thinking, I don't want him to walk. I want him to hit the ball out of the ballpark, hit an extra base hit somewhere. I'm going to give him 3 shots at it. Starting at 3-0. I'm just going to make Correia prove that he can get my guy out with 3 pitches in a row.
Correia asked for a chat with his catcher. Three and 1 to Brian McCann. Bouncer to Parmalee. Out at second. Relay to first. Double play. And the Yankees end up with nothing after loading the bases with nobody out.
I'm Jamie Hirsch in Monument Park out in center field, where there have been 17 different players whose numbers have been retired. But there are only 2 single digits left, numbers 2 and 6. However, Joe Torre's number 6 will be retired later on this summer, and you can bet Derek Jeter's number 2 will be retired shortly thereafter. So enjoy seeing it now, because after Derek Jeter retires, no Yankee player will ever wear a single-digit number on his uniform again.
Thank you, Jamie. It's an interesting feature they have here at the stadium. And a little bit of trivia with Trevor Plouffe standing in to start the second inning. Plouffe bluffs a bunt, takes a ball. The number 8 retired for 2 players, both of them in the Hall of Fame. Bill Dickey and Yogi Berra.
Both of them catchers.
Both of them catchers. 2-0. Now, when you came here, traded from the Twins to the Yankees, I want to guess number 12. What number did you wear?
I wore number 12.
That's what I thought.
I started with 55. And the reason that I did is because I was always number 5.
Right.
With the Twins. I came here, and for some reason, they wouldn't give me number 5 when I came here to the Yankees. So I wore 2 of them for a little while, but finished up with 12.
3-0 to Plouffe. And a strike at the knees. And you played here 2.5, nearly 3 years?
Almost 3 years, yep. 82, 83, and most 84.
3-1. There's a chopper. It's a swinging bunt.
That's what he was trying to do with the first pitch.
And he gets a base hit.
Absolutely. Trevor could use that. He's hit some balls hard at people with no luck to show for it. A little payback right there.
In your 2.5 years here, how many managers did you play for?
That was a time when George Steinbrenner was a little bit intense, shall we say. I played for 5 managers in 2.5 years.
Including Mr. Berra.
Including Mr. Berra, yes, sir. Bob Lemon, Gene Michael, and Clyde King the first year I was here in '82. Then Billy Martin '83 and Yogi in '84.
Chris Parmalee takes outside, ball 1. This game will beat you up mentally if you let it. All the Twins did in the first inning is they took advantage of an error. Willingham may have broken his bat, chipped one into right field. They got a point on the board. Yankees lashed 2 line drives. Starting pitchers behind everybody, fills the count to everybody, and yet the Yankee rally goes. Twins lead at 1-0. Now Plouffe tops one and goes 60 feet, but he gets a base hit. 1-1.
Well, speaking of Yogi, my former manager and the Hall of Fame player, he was absolutely right when he said that 90% of this game is 70% mental, or something like that.
Parmalee pulls it foul. Tanaka has transitioned awfully well to Major League Baseball, and they say here in New York that one of the best bits of advice he got was from Hideki Matsui, who starred here, coming over from Japan, and it was Matsui who counseled Tanaka and said, forget everything that you know about baseball in Japan. This is completely different, which is probably pretty good advice. Busted bat and a dribbler to the right side. 1 away, and Plouffe advances to second. But he also said the more tense the situation in the United States, the calmer you have to be. And Tanaka's done that. They say that when he's had those rare rough innings, when things aren't going well and looks like somebody might put up a big number against him, he has the wherewithal to calm himself down and not get caught up in the moment.
I will tell you that is the key to playing Major League Baseball at a high level, is to allow your ability to come through, to not let your emotions get in the way of your ability.
Up and in, ball 1.
Gene Mauch had I thought a really brilliant thing to say when someone asked him why Reggie Jackson was able to elevate his game. They called him Mr. October for postseason excellence, and how was he able to elevate his game, above everybody else in October?
Pito takes belt high strike.
And Gene said Reggie doesn't elevate his game. Reggie has the ability to stay the same. Everybody else succumbs to the emotion of the moment, and Reggie takes advantage of that. His natural ability is what it is, and he doesn't come down to a different level because of the emotion.
Bounce to third, 2 hops to Ryan. 2 down. And that'll bring up Aaron Hicks. Carsoup.com trivia since 2011, and excluding all the American League Central teams, what road ballpark have the Twins hit the most home runs in? Okay. We're here, and we've seen a lot of home runs. It could be a trap.
It could be a trap. We do have a lot of images of guys hitting home runs here. Justin Morneau used to love hitting here.
Right. Here's Hicks. Twins got a big 2-out hit to produce a run in the first inning, hoping Hicks will provide one in the second.
Just to finish the thought then about what you were saying about Tanaka being able to calm himself, that he has got such good stuff that he's got to understand that if he just allows that stuff to happen and don't try to do anything differently, don't let the emotion get in his way, that he's got better stuff than most big league hitters can handle.
1-1. Danny Santana took 7 stitches to his left eyelid last night after his batting helmet fell off as he slid into third, hit off the base and bounced up and caught him above his left eye. Swing and a miss, 1-2. Sanford Health injury report involving Santana, who hit a double, stole third, And the helmet hit the front edge of the base, and the lip came up and caught him above his left eye. He's fine. He took ground balls today. I presume he took some swings. Unavailable to play today. They hope maybe tomorrow. 1-2 to Aaron Hicks. And Hicks strikes out, leaving Plouffe at second base. It's 1-0 Twins. Well, the Twins got a run. Kevin Correia looked like he was going to give up more than that.
Brett Gardner started with a single. Jeter doubled over the left fielder's head. And Jacoby Ellsbury walked to load the bases with two grand slam hitting guys coming up next. But Correia was able to find a great sinker to strike out Teixeira and then get this ground ball to Chris Parmelee. A nice turn by Escobar and a nice job of getting over to first base to complete the double play by Kevin Correia. And that is a great escape right there. Not much chance that we were thinking they were going to get out of that inning with no runs. But good job of battling by Correia.
I just watched that movie, The Great Escape. It took over 3 hours, and it seemed like Correia's first inning was going to take just about that long.
Yeah, and I don't think Correia has anything on Steve McQueen at all. Or Charles Bronson. What a great movie.
Soriano, Solarte, and Johnson to hit in the Yankee second. Pulled foul. I asked you about being here last night, whether anything struck you and about the infield grass here, and you said no, and I went next door, talked to Michael Kay and Ken Singleton, and they said it hasn't been a discussion point. It just looks to me like the grass is very lush and thick, and Correia may have benefited from that with that ground ball off the bat. Here's a chopper, foul ball. The ground ball off the bat of McCann. It just looked like the grass ate that up.
There's no question in my mind that the grass looks different. You say lush. It does look lush. It looks like a different kind of grass to me than you see in a lot of ballparks, and I don't know if that's true, but it is thicker. I don't know if they're doing it on purpose or not here in New York, but it's a thicker grass. I don't think there's any question. After you said that, I was watching some balls being hit in batting practice, and the ball's not scooting on this grass the way it does when in other ballparks where they cut it down short, and it acts a little bit more like artificial turf.
1-2 to Soriano. Correia at least working ahead of hitters. Chop
there,
foul.
I like that pitch right there. That's what I was talking about in the first inning. Mix in that slower breaking ball. Give hitters a little different speed and eye movement to look at. That ball up and down. It was slower the ball comes out of his hand higher and then breaks down at a slower speed. It changes the hitter's eye angle, changes his tempo. Then that pitch is more effective. I just, even though he is basically a 2 fastball type pitcher, or wants to be, I still think that he's got to throw something slower every once in a while to get him off this pitch right here, so that becomes effective. Good pitch and a good spot.
You know, I tell you what, you don't even have to show up for work tomorrow, because I bet you're going to want to say the same thing about Phil Hughes tomorrow. Right? I mean, Phil Hughes has gotten by. He's been very successful with 2 fastballs, the 4-seamer and the cutter. And yet, I think we saw in his start against the Texas Rangers that if they know it's going to come in pretty much at 1 speed, they can tee off on it. And he made the adjustment within his last start. He
absolutely did. He did that early when he first started pitching well.
And a bouncer through the right side, and a base hit for Solarte. 1-out single. Time now for you to tweet a photo using hashtag NorthFanPhoto for a chance to have it shown in an upcoming game broadcast brought to you by AT&T.
What I like about what Phil Hughes has done is that when he started pitching well, he did go to that slower curveball for a while, and then he went through a streak of 3 or 4 games when he was just throwing hard fastballs, hard cutters, and that's all he needed, so that's all he threw. And then against Texas, as you say, Dick, when that wasn't as successful as it had been, he went back to he made an adjustment and went back to backing off the speed a little bit, and that's great to see a guy have that kind of ability, but especially that kind of awareness. Okay, this is working, I'm staying with it. Okay, it's not working, I'm going to do something a little different.
1 strike to Johnson. Down low. Johnson, good numbers against Correia. 321 batting average and 5 home runs in 28 at bats. Strike. As I was giving you the defensive alignment for the Yankees, it's hard not to notice that Robinson Cano's not at second base. Derek Jeter, the designated hitter, not at short, and of course Alex Rodriguez won't play perhaps ever again. But it's a different looking Yankee team. They may still win 95 games. They might win a World Series, but it just doesn't look the same. 1 and 2, blocked by Pinto. 2 and 2.
I think it's safe to say that as much as any time in recent Yankee seasons, that their success is going to be all about their pitching staff this year. They get some guys back from injury. Tanaka continues to pitch well. Their bullpen comes along. I think it's going to be starting pitching and bullpen that carries this team, because it's not. They've got some nice hitters, but it's not the same potent lineup that we've seen in the past.
41 pitches for Correia. He's retired 3 batters. Became in succession 2 strikeouts surrounding an inning-ending double play. Swing and a foul, and Correia's had a couple of swings and misses, but not too many. He's got 2 strikeouts on swing and miss pitches.
Kevin's going to throw a lot of contact. There's no question about that. He's not going to make guys swing and miss too much. That's why he has to be very good about moving the ball around the strike zone and changing speeds.
Squirted over the head of Plouffe for a base hit. The 4th Yankee hit. They've also drawn a walk in the first 8 plate appearances. First and second, 1 down. No matter the occasion, Target Field is the place to be during the summer. Might be a family celebration, a church outing, or an event to raise funds for your organization. Reserve your group tickets today. Get a group together of 25 or more and head down to a Twins game. If you'd like to find out more, call 800-33-TWINS and ask about group outings at Target Field. A pair of one-out hits, both singles, and now Brendan Ryan, the batter. Joe Girardi, after the game last night, talked about his team's inability to score. Last night, said, you know, this is not a team that has a bunch of 25, 30 home run hitters in it. They've got to find other ways to score. Here's a ball hit it to short, and it'll be the second inning-ending double play with Ryan rolling one to Escobar. Kevin Correia has survived 2 wobbly innings, and the Twins have a 1-0 lead. Your link to what's next. By Northland Ford. Visit northlandford.com and your local Northland Ford dealers today. And by Grand Casino. The best stories start here. Masahiro Tanaka gave up an unearned run in the first inning. Twins got their leadoff man on in the second. Brian Dozier will lead off the third. Jumped on the first pitch at a hard 2-hopper to Kelly Johnson's left. Bounced off the thumb of his glove for an error. And then Willingham drove him in 2 outs later with a single to right. 44 runs for Brian Dozier, and he takes a strike on the outside corner. Challenge was laid down to Brian. See if you can score 100 runs this year, and he's well on his way. Hitting second in the lineup last night. To right field. Soriano coming in, and he drops the ball. Should be the second Yankee error, both of them in Dozier at bats.
Well, it even happens to big league players. Sometimes you just clang one.
In the first inning, after the Johnson error, Dozier was wild pitch to second, went to third on Escobar's ground ball, and Willingham scored him with a single. See if Dozier tries to take off here. Leading the team with 12 stolen bases. Pitch down and in, a swing and a miss.
There's that splitter again, and it's really a good one. I've been surprised that he got Joe Mauer to strike out on a ball that was low in the dirt, and Escobar there. The ball starts out low, looking like a low fastball, which a lot of left-handed hitters like, and then just gets right down in the dirt very, very late. Even though it starts out looking low, it's hard to lay off of that because it breaks so late. There it is again.
Well, we've only seen the man for 10 and a fraction plate appearances, but the splitter is his go-to pitch. Right, he's needed a strikeout on Mauer. He went to the splitter. Now he gets ahead of Escobar.
Yeah, look at this ball go down. I mean, that's and the problem with that is it comes out of his hand looking like a fastball, and the speed halfway to the plate looks like it's coming at you pretty hard, and then it just dives toward the dirt very, very late.
Chop to the right side, and Teixeira. They're going to peel this. He was safe. I'm pretty sure that the Twins will replay this and challenge it, because from up here it looked like Escobar beat it. Take a look at it here. Teixeira decided late, and Tanaka never got his foot on the bag.
Yeah, you can see in Tanaka's reaction, he knows that he didn't get there. This should be a relatively easy one for Sean Harlan to advise Gardy that they ought to take a look at, and a relatively easy decision out of New York. Here's a great shot at it right here. There is Escobar beating the throw. Even I think even if Tanaka had gotten his foot on the base, but he clearly didn't.
I don't think Tanaka's still had his.
He
still hasn't touched the base.
He still hasn't. Yep.
So they will look at the replay here in New York. This ought to be quick. They're just looking at it a couple miles away.
Let me explain to you how technology works.
Does it make any difference that we're actually in New York?
You know, it's going to go to a server someplace, and then it's going to go to the computer terminal. And
okay.
It's pretty much the same speed from anywhere.
You could kind of see when we first showed the replay, Tanaka kind of slumped his shoulders like I didn't even get my foot on the bag. Watch his reaction.
Yep. First of all, he misses and he goes, heck.
So it will go as a scratch single, I guess, for Escobar. And the Twins have been given another opportunity here.
I'd like Teixeira's first thought. He's a good first baseman. He's not a safety first guy. He really wanted to go to second base and get the lead runner right there. And I think the route that Dozier took to second base was kind of in the way of the shortstop and Teixeira's potential throw. And so he had to think better of it.
Breaking ball over, strike one to Mauer. Struck out swinging at the splitter in the first inning.
Then once Teixeira didn't go to second base, the timing was a little bit messed up for Tanaka getting to first.
It's the third time that Tanaka shaved the outside corner on Mauer, and he has him right where he had him in the first inning, 0-2.
There's an example of the second fastball that Tanaka will throw. We've seen a lot of balls that were more two-seam sinker type fastballs. That one a cutter on the that came back and just clipped the outside corner. As left-hand hitter, you think that ball's going to be outside, and it just has late movement back on the corner.
2 strikes. That kicks away, and the runners will move up. Another wild pitch. Dozier to third, and Escobar to second.
Overthrew that splitter. That was another split finger. He was trying to get the strike out there. Tried to throw it a little too hard. Threw about a 58-footer, and McCann couldn't block it. That's a tough pitch to block right there. And he threw it so low that Joe really didn't even start to offer at it, because it never looked like a strike coming out of his hand.
Infield back again. Yankees will concede another run. Again, Mauer trying to put the ball in play here with a 1-2 count. One away. And the frustration continues for Joe Mauer. Josh Willingham, the batter.
There's the other fastball. The fastball moves the other way. Joe's just a little quick on his front side there. I haven't seen that from Joe. Joe's mechanics are a little bit messed up right now. That front hip coming out really slowed his bat down on that pitch, gave him really no chance to hit that ball out there on the outside corner, which is not usually a problem for Joe.
Another RBI spot for Willingham. Busted his bat. Out number 2. And it'll be left to Arcia. Well, we mentioned before that Hideki Matsui counseled Tanaka and said the more tense the situation, the calmer you have to be. And Tanaka found himself in a tense situation here in the 3rd inning. First and second, eventually second and third, and nobody out, facing Mauer, Willingham, and now Arcia, and he's gotten Mauer and Willingham. Struck out Arcia in the 1st.
Well, part of that tense situation of his own doing, he missed stepping on first base and then threw a 58-footer to move the runner, continue to move the runners along. But he did make real good pitches to Mauer and Willingham. See if Arcia can get a ball in the middle of the plate and center one up.
Dozier scampered toward home plate before pulling up. Swing and a miss. Now the third baseman, Johnson, is playing almost where a shortstop would be, or he was on the first pitch. And now he's been told by the Yankee dugout, play it a little tighter toward the bag. Dozier, a couple weeks ago, said he came close to coming home on a stolen base attempt on a similar shift. Fouled away, 2 strikes. And there is a cat and mouse going on between Dozier, Johnson, who's trying to shift back toward the shortstop position while Dozier's extending his lead.
And you know what? I really don't think it makes that much difference for Johnson to be playing over toward shortstop. Oswaldo Arcia is not going to hit a lot of ground balls that way. He's just not. He may hit the ball over there, but it's going to be in the air many more times than it's going to be on the ground. So if they have any concern at all about him holding Dozier on the third, then he should just do that and not worry about the 1 out of 100 ground balls that Arcia might hit over there.
Called third. And Tanaka weaves his way out of a jam in the 3rd. On the board.
Well, we'll get caught up and show you. This is the 1 run. Josh Willingham driving it in the 1st inning. Kevin Correia in all kinds of trouble in his 1st inning, but gets a huge double play ground ball. And then in the 2nd inning with 2 men on, another ground ball double play to get out of the 2nd inning. So 2 in a row. Actually, that second inning looked ugly for Kevin Correia, but he really pitched pretty well. He got a couple of weak hits and then a broken bat double play ground ball. So pitching better in the second inning. Let's hope he can keep it going. Really was fighting his command in the first inning, but looks like maybe he's righting the ship just a little.
First pitch off the plate to Brett Gardner. He'll be followed by Derek Jeter and Jacoby Ellsbury. And 2-0.
You know, it's funny, the Twins have had a lot of opportunities to drive in runs and haven't done it. And your tendency is to say that's going to catch up to them at some point in time. But the Yankees have followed suit, have matched them with not being able to. Now, this is going to be a tough play. Gardner, great speed.
Oh, good play by Correia.
Very good play by Correia to get over there.
One down.
If Parmelee has to field that ball, he's going to be safe. That's a nice play by Correia. Gardner tops the ball, gets out of the box really quickly and has great speed, but Correia went a long way after that ball. Once he was able to get to it, relatively simple play, gets him by a lot.
One down, Derek Jeter, who one-hopped the wall and left over the head of Willingham. The Yankees had second and third, nobody out. Ellsbury walked, bases loaded, nobody out, but Correia found a way out of the mess. Up and in, ball one.
You were talking earlier about Joe Girardi, manager of the Yankees, saying they don't have a whole bunch of 25 to 30 home run guys. What strikes me even more than that is when as you were comparing this lineup to earlier Yankee great hitting lineups. So watch the 1-0 pitch to Jeter.
1-1.
They don't have an awful lot of 300 hitting guys either. You know, the guys are really struggling to have higher batting averages so far this season. So you have a combination of guys that don't hit a lot of home runs, but they also are not loaded with 300 hitters either. So unless something changes, they're not going to be the highest run producing team, I wouldn't think.
Let me preface this with the statement that I don't know what it means, but I'm inclined to be encouraged by it. And I talked about this with you before as the Twins hope to win this series here in New York. 2-1 to Jeter with one out. To center. Hicks coming in and playing it on a hot. Jeter has a hit with one out in the third. Already the fifth Yankee hit. Don't miss Fox Sports Live as the crew brings you the latest news and highlights from a full day of MLB, the NBA, and the NHL. Watch Fox Sports Live nightly on Fox Sports 1 and streaming live on Fox Sports Go. Here's what I don't know what it means. No American League team has given up fewer home runs than the Twins. Only the Yankees have issued fewer walks. Now, we all know the Twins pitching staff has not posted very good numbers in the first 2 months of the year. But within that are other numbers that would suggest, up and away, ball one, that the problem isn't walks and home runs and it's balls put in play, and sometimes that over time can even out at least a little bit. I guess what I'm asking you is to enlighten me whether there's any encouragement there that the team ERA isn't very good, but they're not giving up home runs and they're not walking people.
Well, I got to believe that is encouraging. I don't know what it's going to mean over the course of the entire season as Ellsbury takes outside for 2-0 count now. But if you're not walking people and you're not letting guys hit the ball out of the ballpark, you got to have a chance to win. You know, more often than not. And if they continue that, just those two things, I think you're going to see a fairly successful pitching staff at some point in time during the course of the season. I don't think other teams can single and double the Twins to death if they're not walking guys and not letting the ball be hit out of the ballpark.
It just stands to reason that if it takes 2 or 3 hits to score a run rather than 1 or 2.
I just think, and you've heard me, I'm a little bit like a broken record about walking guys, but it is very, very difficult to hit in the major leagues, and it's very, very difficult to hit consecutively through a lineup. And so if you're not allowing guys to be on base via the walk, and you make everybody put the ball in play, it just stands to reason statistically that they just can't get enough hits to score a lot of runs.
To left center field, Hicks to the gap. That's out number 2.
Now that's over the course of a whole season. You're going to get some innings where you don't walk somebody, you're throwing the ball over, and they're pounding the ball around the ballpark and hitting it out over the fence. I mean, there are going to be times like that because these guys are good hitters. But given the fact that hitting is tough and that you're going to make enough mistakes that guys do hit, I still believe you got to take a chance on making a mistake and just keep throwing it over. Don't walk people. Look at how the Twins were scoring runs early in the year. We talked about it a lot, both in the game broadcast and the pregame and postgame show. They were drawing a lot of walks, and all those walks were scoring.
An extreme shift on for Teixeira, and Correia misses outside, ball 1. Teixeira struck out for the first out of the first inning, and then McCann bounced into an inning-ending double play. Innings 1 and 2 ended with ground ball double plays. All year long, Correia had induced just 2. And he got 2 in the first 2 innings here this afternoon. 1-1.
There's a lot of luck involved in this game, as we all know, and I think one of the luckiest pitches that Correia made was a 3-1 relatively non-sinking fastball in the middle of the strike zone to Teixeira that he missed with the bases loaded. He fouled away before striking out on a real good pitch the next pitch.
2-1.
And there's a pitch Kevin Correia wanted. It made him buckle a little bit that he didn't get that call, and I don't blame him. That's a good sinker and a good spot, pitcher's pitch. And if he doesn't get that call from the home plate umpire today, Jim Wolf, it's going to be tough. That's where he wants to live, right down there.
Setting up out there again, and the pitch line foul, 2-2.
We say don't throw the ball in the middle of the plate. I guess my point is you say when pitchers get hit around, well, he's throwing the ball in the middle of the plate too much. You can't throw it where you want to all the time.
Right.
You're going to throw some balls in the middle of the plate, and oftentimes they get hit. Sometimes you get lucky and a guy will foul it back, and you're able to come back and get him like he did Teixeira. There's a lot of luck involved that doesn't always show up.
2-2. And now a full count, and Jeter will leave early from first. Ron Gardenhire was talking about that this morning. Everybody wants to know why Phil Hughes has been so successful, and Gardy says, hey, he's not walking people, and he's throwing quality strikes. He's not throwing it down the middle of the plate.
And not only is he not throwing it down the middle of the plate, he's not throwing it in the same spot. He's throwing it all around the perimeter of the zone. He throws it on the inside corner, outside corner, low strike zone, high strike zone. Changes the hitter's eye level all the time.
Down the line, and a foul ball. Twins with the infield shift, and Teixeira poked it over the third base bag, but it sliced foul. Wants things to reset. Pull to first, 2 hops to Parmalee. And the Yankees leave another runner aboard. They've scored 1 run over the first 12 innings of this series. Trevor Plouffe will lead off the top of the 4th. but he's enjoyed the last few games hitting the long ball.
Found his power stroke a little bit here late after changing his style a little bit, being more in the center of the field. And what I really like is 2 home runs now to straightaway center. It does 2 things. It proves to him that he can hit the ball out of the ballpark anywhere in the ballpark, and allows him to stay in the middle of the field so he's not fooled so much on off-speed pitches. I hope, especially that one last night, ball in the outside corner that he just drilled over the center field fence. I hope that really makes an impression.
Ball 1 to Plouffe. He'll be followed by Parmelee and Pinto.
Because when a guy can hit the ball out of the ballpark to center field, he doesn't have to feel like he has to be in a hurry to get the bat head out in front to hit it out to left, because that's not the only place he needs to hit the ball.
2-0. Tanaka fell behind Plouffe in the second inning at bat. Twins have had the leadoff man on in all 3 innings. Granted, a couple of the times Dozier reached on an error. 2-0 to the Twins' third baseman. Up high, 3-0.
I'd let Trevor hit here 3-0 too. It's like he was taken all the way. That would be a little bit unusual for a guy leading off the inning, get a 3-0 count against a really good pitcher to let him hit. Probably going to get the same pitch 3-1 that he got 3-0. But when a guy's hot and he's hitting home runs, especially against a good pitcher, every once in a while I'd let him see if he could continue that home run streak that he's on. Just pick out a fastball down the middle and let it go. It could be that he did get the green light there. A lot of guys don't like hitting 3-0, and even though they have the green light, they choose not to swing. I never felt that way. Boy, I loved hitting 3-0.
3-2 now to Plouffe. Chop foul. A couple weeks ago, Ron Gardner was talking about that. Over the last few years, they've done that. They've asked hitters or given them the green light to swing through, only to see the hitter take a fastball right down the middle. I mean, they're trying to encourage more aggressiveness at the plate in favorable counts, but some guys, it seems, just can't pull the trigger.
And I think they don't want it for whatever reason. They don't want to hit 3-0, and I don't understand that.
A strikeout of Plouffe for the first out of the fourth, and let's check in with Jamie Hirsch.
Thanks, guys. Well, I talked to some of the Twins hitters this morning about the mentality of facing a guy like Tanaka for the very first time, and they all told me that while they are impressed by the numbers he's put up so far, they are not intimidated. Josh Willingham joked, Masahiro who? And then Trevor Plouffe said, we face guys like him all the time. If you're going to be intimidated, you have no business being in the big leagues. You just got to jump on him early, be aggressive, because he is too. And so far, that approach is working out pretty well for the Twins.
Thank you, Jamie. They got a run on the board. It was an unearned run in the first inning. Strike 1 to Parmelee. Parmelee hit a ground ball to Solarte his first time up. One and one. Parmelee now hitless in his last 10 at bats. He jumped back onto the roster and into the lineup with a splash, and has cooled off considerably since. Driven hard and foul. And it's frustrating. This guy's got stuff. The ball moves everywhere, and you finally square one up, and it's about 30 feet foul. 1-2.
A lot of that has to do with Tanaka's ability to change speeds, even on similar pitches.
High fly to center. Ellsbury with an easy catch out, number 2. We'll bring up Pinto. Limited number of season ticket locations are available in the Delta Sky 360 Legends Club. You get padded seats there, in-seat service, and the creature comforts that make the Legends Club the perfect combination of luxury and baseball. Call 800-33-TWINS or visit twinsbaseball.com. Find out how you can join the fun in the Delta Sky 360 Legends Club. Tanaka's not had a 1-2-3 inning. And Pinto takes a fastball, strike one. Five in a row set down by Tanaka, 3 of them via strikeout. Check swing, 1-1.
There's a little slider, a little harder breaking ball. He's got it. We've seen fastballs from 88 to 92 miles an hour. We've seen a slower curveball in that harder slider, and we've seen some really, really good splitters. And he'll throw any of them anytime. There's the bigger curve. So we saw a more slidery type of breaking ball at 82. That curve was at 74. His fastball is 88 and 89, 90, 91, 92. He changes speeds on that, throws a changeup down around 82, and then throws a ball that looks like a fastball that drops, the bottom drops out of, which is a splitter. Fastball moves in on right-handers, away from right-handers. He's an impressive guy.
3-1 now. Swing and a miss. Didn't get a fastball on 3-1.
3-1. Fed just an automatic fastball count. And this is what you call not giving in to a hitter. He's a fastball count, but he throws a slider. And Pinto cheating on the fastball, swings at the first thing he sees, and it's 10 miles an hour slower than what he thought it was going to be.
And Pinto ends up taking a walk anyway with 2 outs, and that'll get Hicks to the plate. There are no options for the Twins right now. Hicks trying to go through the awkward transformation from switch hitter to right-handed hitter. And with Sam Fold on the disabled list because of the concussion, and now Danny Santana with stitches in his eyelid, Hicks has to go out there and continue the experiment or the transition against a guy with maybe the nastiest stuff in the American League. He struck out swinging his first time. Bouncer to short, should end the inning. Force made at second base. And the Twins are done on the 4th. They lead it 1-0. Sports Network is the place to turn before every slam, every goal, and every game with America's pregame on Fox Sports 1 and streaming live on Fox Sports Go. Tune in to America's pregame weekdays at 5 p.m. Central, only on Fox Sports 1. And to find Fox Sports 1 on your cable satellite provider, go to foxsports1.com. Brian McCann will lead off the fourth against Kevin Correia. Correia's given up 5 hits. He's issued a walk. He's thrown 62 pitches, 38 strikes. McCann, Soriano, and Solarte will face him here in the Yankee fourth. Off the plate, ball 1. McCann bounced into a double play. Parmalee to Escobar to Correia to wrap up the first inning. Fouled back, 1-1. Yankees had the bases loaded, nobody out in the first and didn't score. First and second, 1 out in the second. Another double play took care of that threat. And again, the 2 double plays, ground ball double plays that have been induced by Correia, doubling his total for the whole year. Foul back, 1-2. You get the sense, and it's only been, well, it's been less than a game and a half, but you get the impression so far that the Yankees are going through the type of stretch that the Twins went through over the last week. The 3 games in San Francisco and most of the 4-game series with the Rangers, where just can't seem to buy a key hit. And if it could be done, the Yankees could buy it.
They may not have any money left even to buy any hits. I don't know. But this is an interesting game so far in that both teams have given the other team a huge momentum opportunity by failing to get hits with guys on base. And so it's like, who's going to crack first and actually get some hits with men on?
Dozier gets in front of the second hop and throws McCann out 1 away.
Because usually if a team fails to get hits when they have opportunities to break a game open, the other team is going to then break through and beat you. And both teams are refusing to take control of this ball game so far.
1 down here. Soriano struck out his first time up. Fox Tracks brought to you by Dodge. Foul back, 1 strike. Yankees in second place in the East, 2.5 games behind the Blue Jays, who suddenly lost 2 games in a row. Inside, 1-1. Rays lost again last night. They've lost 4 in a row. They're 9 games below 500. One and 1. To third. Plouffe. Parmalee, 2 down.
Kevin Correia doing right there what I've heard your everyday partner Bert Blyleven talk about all the time. He let a curveball really get away from him. Almost hit Soriano with a curveball that slipped out of his hand. It didn't get the good biting grip on it at all, and then came right back to the curveball. And I've heard Bert say a number of times, you made a bad pitch with a pitch, come right back to it because you knew what you did wrong there. Now do it right, because you'd have a feel for what was wrong and what the opposite would be. And Correia did that right there. 2 curveballs in a row, one ugly and then 1 real good to get a ground ball.
Outside ball 1 to Solarte, who grounded a single through the right side of the infield his first time up. Correia just 6 for 16 in delivering first pitch strikes. Solarte's single bounced past Brian Dozier, who was a teammate of Solarte's in the Twins minor league system from 2006 through 2011. Solarte, and for a couple of those years he was a teammate of Dozier's. Solarte was trying to work his way through the Twins minor league system. He was considered to be 3-0 now, considered to be more of an offensive player than a defensive player, and he won a job here with the Yankees out of spring training for just the opposite reason.
And the Yankees have said He's played really, really good defense at both second and third, even shortstop a little bit, but especially second and third. And it's interesting because the comment was, and now he's starting to hit a lot. And in the minor leagues, he was, as you say, supposedly an offensive player and not a great defensive player. So it looks like maybe he's just maturing into a big league player.
Talking with the assistant general manager Rob Anthony, who's on the trip, about Solarte, said they tried to re-sign him, but he spent a couple of years with the Texas Rangers organization. There's a high drive to right field, and Solarte has tied it up. It took a home run, but the Yankees finally broke through against Correia.
And it also took another 3-1 count. A lot of pitches, a fastball count. It's going to get to you sooner or later, and it did to Kevin Correia right there. Got behind 3-1, had to come in. Came in right down the middle. That's a definition of middle right there. And Solarte aggressive on a 3-1 fastball count. Got the bat head out, and just exactly what a big league hitter's supposed to do when you get a middle fastball 3-1.
Kelly Johnson will hit in a tie game. And Correia falls behind Johnson.
It kind of continues to make my point that I was talking about earlier, Dick, about not walking guys and about throwing a lot of strikes early in counts. You're going to have to throw the ball over sooner or later.
Tapper right side. 3 weak ground ball outs, but in between a long home run by Solarte, and we are tied at 1.
Being that young of an age, and you want to be like the best player in the game, and it was him at the time, and it's been him for the past 20 years, and so he's been my favorite since day one, and still my favorite today. So.
Brian Dozier talking about Derek Jeter. It's Dozier leading off the 5th inning.
And Brian, he's been my favorite too. Just throw that in there. Loved watching him play.
Dozier's reached twice, scored once, reaching both times on Yankee errors, and he takes strike 1. In last night's game, the Twins had the first lead, and then the Yankees tied it up, and then in the very next at bat, the Twins retook the lead. Josh Willingham hit a home run. See if they can answer and retake the lead. There's a pitch outside, 1-1. See if they can answer and retake the lead against Tanaka. They've had some chances, particularly again in the 3rd inning, with runners at 2nd and 3rd, nobody out. But then Tanaka got Mauer, Willingham, and Arcia without allowing the 2nd run to score. Pulls it foul into the camera well. 1-2. 64 pitches over 4 innings. Again, Tanaka has given the Yankees a quality start in every one of his starts. The Twins don't have an earned run against him yet today. Tap foul. Very impressively, first 3 times through the order, hardly a difference in terms of giving up hits. 1-2. Pop to right, and Soriano with the catch. A little extra cheer for Soriano as he makes that catch on a Dozier fly ball. Missed one earlier. 1 down.
Well, we've had a chance to watch Eduardo Escobar get a lot of playing time this year, really for the first time in his career. And what I've noticed is that he's a solid player. He's got good hands and a strong arm, so he can play anywhere in the infield. He seems to be unflappable out there. He goes out and makes plays in big situations and doesn't get too wide-eyed when he's trying to play defense. And here, that's my third point right there. His confidence is really rising as a hitter. Known as kind of a utility defensive-minded player over his early career. But this swing is getting a lot better. He's getting a lot more aggressive. And that's just a good, solid swing. Staying behind, what we call staying behind his swing, not getting out over his front foot. His head stays pretty still. But he's developed a lot of leg drive at the ball, and we've seen him be able to really drive the ball through the gaps and in some cases over the fence. And that comes from that leg drive that he's developed. For a little guy, he can pop it pretty well, and it's all about that. Here's a tailor-made double play ball.
And Joe Mauer having one of the more frustrating days of his career. Fan of the game. That's Mr. Willingham again.
David Willingham, absolutely. Let me just make sure who's not sitting next to him on the other side.
Your wife Chrissy was sitting next to him yesterday, and for a brief moment, you got a little flustered there.
Well, you know, I didn't know who the guy next to her was chatting her up there. I couldn't tell it was David. Just got my attention there for a second.
Brendan Ryan will lead things off for the Yankees in the 5th against Kevin Correia, starting the inning with 78 pitches. A pitch up, and it's fouled back. One strike. Ryan, then Gardner and Jeter. There's the outside corner 0-2. Ricky Nolasco last night. Most of the numbers say he pitched very well, but he did not deliver many first pitch strikes, but was able to overcome that. And now here we are in the 5th inning, and Correia has just given up the 1 run, but he has not done a very good job of getting ahead of hitters this afternoon either. 1-2.
No, he really hasn't. He's had to work very, very hard to get himself out of jams that he put himself into because he hasn't been able to get ahead of guys and not only not get strike one, but he's been 2-0 and 3-1 on a lot of hitters, and that's normally a recipe for disaster at this or most levels.
1-2. Poke down the right field line. Parmalee chasing it. That's a good
nice
play in foul territory. 1 down.
One of the toughest plays an infielder has to make. Any place on the field, any infielder is catching the ball directly over his head like that, running away, looking right back over his head and trying to stay with it. Watch the ball all the way into the glove. Nice play.
2 trips through the batting order, and now Brett Gardner. Plouffe in on the grass at third. Last night, Gardner tried to bunt his way aboard, dragging a bunt up the first baseline, but he popped it up. Mauer came in, picked up the first hop and tagged him as he was flying by. Off of Correia. Barehanded by Escobar, no play, and Correia a little worse for the wear, but I think it got him low on the leg, and it's a 1-out hit for Gardner.
Ball hit right back up the middle. Got Kevin in the back of the leg. Gardner too much speed for Escobar to make any kind of attempt there.
May have gotten him on his left spike. At any rate, Pinto talking with Correia. Jeter at the plate. He's got a double and a single.
Ideal situation here for Joe Girardi to maybe try to get some guys, get Gardner in motion, manufacture some runs. You've got a guy that's very speedy at first base, and a guy in Derek Jeter at the plate that handles the bat extremely well.
First pitch, a fastball, strike 1.
Oftentimes a manager will give a guy like Derek here 1 pitch to see if he can drive one in the gap. Now that's 0-1. Within the next 2 or 3 pitches, you might see Gardner take off. Wouldn't be surprised.
Rain shower has started here at the stadium. 1 strike. And now 1-1, and snap throw by Pinto, and Parmalee swept a tag on Gardner just a little bit late.
I'd like to see that from that young guy. Learning how to be a good defensive catcher in the big leagues, working with Terry Steinbach an awful lot, watching Kurt Suzuki, and being aggressive back there.
Ooh. Correia wanted that pitch. And instead of 1-2, it's 2-1.
If ever there was a textbook hit and run count and players in the right positions, this would be it. 2-1 with 1 out, fast guy, and a guy at first, and a guy can handle the bat. Girardi doesn't send him
to right field.
Look at that ball carry out
there. And Arcia almost backpedaling and veering toward the foul pole with the wind pushing it.
Yep.
Both toward the corner and toward the wall. 2 down.
This ball carried an awful lot better than or especially significantly Arcia thought it would. Thought he had to beat out the whole time. It just kept drifting and drifting, and we got a little bit of a snow cone there before he put it away for the second out.
2 down, a runner at first, and Jacoby Ellsbury has walked and hit a fly ball to center.
And I got to say, I am really surprised that Joe Girardi didn't start Brett Gardner there sometime during Derek Jeter's at bat.
Sliced foul over the Twins dugout. Down low, 1-1. Correia has not had a 1-2-3 inning. Faced 5 men in the first, 4 in the second, 4 in the third, 4 in the fourth, and Ellsbury, the fourth batter he is facing here in the fifth. One and one. Parmalee to the bag. 5 innings complete by Correia, and we have a 1-1 game. Field. Bring your Circle Me signs, and if Bert circles you, you might find yourself in the Minnesota Lottery winner circle, where you could win $100 worth of lottery scratch-off tickets, courtesy of the Minnesota Lottery. Matsuhiro Tanaka giving up 1 unearned run over 5 innings. And the Twins have just 4 hits. Eduardo Escobar has 2 of them. Josh Willingham, Oswaldo Arcia, and Trevor Plouffe all homered in the game last night. We'll see what they can get done here in the 6th. Willingham drove in the Twins' run with a 2-out single in the first. Check swing, ball 1. Josh had a disappointing 2013 and frankly had a disappointing spring training this year, but came out of spring training feeling really good and hitting the ball hard. Hit a home run in the last spring training game of the year at JetBlue Park, and something clicked. And in the opening series in Chicago, he felt pretty good and was ready to get on track. And then Justin Masterson broke his wrist with a pitch, and you kind of got to reboot and start all over again. And that's what Willingham had to do. Swing and a miss, 2-1.
Yeah, I frankly have been really happy, surprised and happy for Josh, because he's come back to the Twins and looked very, very hitters at the plate, like he is comfortable again at the plate, even having not had an awful lot of rehab at bats, and those, of course, in AAA. But this is more like an extended spring training when the pitchers are really trying.
Scalded down the line, but foul. It just seems to me it would be tougher for a power hitter to come back from an injury because of all the complexity in being able to hit the ball a long way.
I think you're right about that. A slap hitter is going to be able to get, and a contact hitter, a guy that hits the ball all over the ballpark, is going to come back and feel a little bit more normal a little bit sooner than a guy whose timing needs to be as good as it does to hit the ball a long ways. That pitch, that's a great take right there. You know, I think oftentimes you can tell a guy's feeling good more by how he takes pitches than how he swings at them. And we've seen this split finger confound a lot of guys. Of course, that was low early, but Josh never even offered that. He saw that ball early, saw that it was the splitter, and laid off of it. You can tell a lot by how comfortable a guy looks taking pitches sometimes.
And he missed. Willingham takes a walk. Important part of his game too. When he hit his 35 home runs a couple of years ago, he also walked 76 times. Now on FoxSportsNorth.com, you can view photos from the series against the Yankees, Brian Hall on the Vikings, and Chad Greenway's potential move, and read the latest top tweets from Minnesota area athletes. Here's Arcia. He struck out twice, once looking, once swinging. Twins have had the leadoff man on now 4 times, have scored just once. See what they can do with Willingham's leadoff walk. Up and away, ball 1.
Tanaka's worked on this young man pretty well. He hasn't thrown anything straight yet. Arcia, good fastball hitter, wants to hit fastballs, wants to hit stuff in the middle of the plate, and we've seen split fingers and sliders and change ups and just about everything but what he really would like to hit.
Swinging a foul, 1-1.
Tanaka's the kind of pitcher that, especially for any hitter, but especially a young hitter, he put a lot of doubt in the guy's mind, really mess up his head a little bit, just because you don't know what to look for. And he's got the kind of stuff where some guys you don't know what to look for, but you say, okay, I'm gonna look for the fastball, get it out over the plate, and set up to line the ball to center field, and then I can adjust to all the other stuff he's got. But you can't really say that about Tanaka. You don't just adjust to the other stuff.
Another one that went 55 feet, barely made it out of the grass. 2-1. Tanaka hasn't thrown over to first yet. Willingham's gone public. He's never going to steal another base for the rest of his life. Tried it last year, and that was the beginning of his knee problem last year when he slid into second awkwardly in a successful steal attempt. 2-1. 3-1. Twins got their leadoff man on with a walk, and now Tanaka in danger of walking Arcia.
Well, back to Willingham trying to steal. I would say my advice is you don't have to run real fast a second. I'd like to see you trot 30 times. So don't worry about that running real fast. Yeah. Just trotting is fine.
See what Arcia gets on 3-1 here, and what he does with it. Drilled to right near the pole. Foul. And Arcia with a little body Spanish. Trying to keep that ball fair.
The Twins have done that a lot. The pitches that today against Tanaka. Here's a pitch. They're the first fastball in his happy zone that he's gotten all game long. 3-1, looking for it, drilled it, and just foul. And the Twins have done that a lot. Dozier got a pitch in the middle plate, hit foul. Willingham got a hanging slider, hit foul. They've just not been able to square it up in the fair zone.
Rolled to first. Teixeira out there in the relay in time. 3-6-1. This time Tanaka barely got his foot on the bag.
Well, this is a nice double play turn by the Yankees. Good setup by Teixeira, and then I'm not sure Tanaka thought he went back and double touch. I'm not sure he thought he got the bag, but it looks like he just barely did.
Touched it once there, and the second time for when he didn't touch it before.
I guess so, but I got to believe that does inspire an awful lot of confidence by the umpire that you got it the first time.
Plouffe drives it to left center field. It's deep toward the bullpen and caught by Ellsbury. The wind still blowing in from left field, and it kept that ball from going out. Toyota. Let's go places. To find your nearest Toyota dealer and check out our current offers, visit buyatoyota.com. By Sanford Orthopedics and Sports Medicine, for the everyday competitor in all of us. And by McDonald's, where right now you can score a delicious creamy McCafe iced coffee starting at just $1.59. One apiece, bottom of the sixth. Kevin Correia is still out there. And we're coming up on a huge weekend of great giveaways at Target Field. It starts with the annual Turn Back the Clock game on Thursday, June 5th against the Brewers. The first 10,000 fans will get that awesome 1984 Twins Road Kirby Puckett jersey presented by Kemp's. And then fans coming to Target Field next weekend will be treated to a fireworks show brought to you by the Black Hills and Badlands of South Dakota, bobblehead giveaways, and an all-star game bat presented by your select Heartland Chevy dealers. You can call the Twins and find out more. 833-TWINS or go to twinsbaseball.com. Mark Teixeira with a long strike, or long foul for strike one. And then McCann and Soriano will hit. I beg your pardon, it's Brian Roberts hitting for Mark Teixeira. Fouled the other way, 2 strikes. Teixeira started that 3-6-1 double play,
right,
but mysteriously has left the ball game here in the bottom of the sixth. When we find out why, we will let you know. Teixeira had gone 0 for 2 against Correia with a ground ball to first and a strikeout. And another one lifted foul. The rain has stopped. We've got blue skies heading our way. So for the second game in a row, apparently, had to play through a little rain shower, but then things have cleared off.
This is a great spot for squalls.
2 strikes from Correia to Roberts. Twins got 6 effective innings from Ricky Nolasco last night, and Correia hoping to finish business here in the 6th and get the Twins off the field in a tie game. 1-2.
Well, I would tell you, as ineffective as Kevin Correia has been at getting the ball on the outside corner for strikes against left-hand hitters, he has really come back and pitched well. That's a big part of his arsenal, is being able to throw the ball on the outside corner. And he right there, he just is not finding it today. And it hurts him two ways. It's a big part of his of what he's trying to do. And if he can't hit it, as we look at the Twins bullpen, both the right-hander and the left-hander, Dunsing the left-hander, Swarzak the right-hander warming up. But back to Correia. If he can't hit the outside corner, not only is he less effective on the inside part of the plate, but he falls behind trying to get it there, and it puts him kind of in a double jeopardy situation, which he's been in much of the game, but he's been able to fight back and make really, really good pitches to get himself out of innings. He had that really bad first inning, and since then, even though there have been some guys on, and even though he did give up a 3-1 fastball home run to Solarte, he's really pitched very effectively after the first inning, even without having good command of the outside corner, which is unusual for him.
Another 2-2 to Roberts, and a swing and a miss.
Ball.
Got a piece of the curve, but foul tipped it into Pinto's mitt, 1 away.
As I said earlier, I really like this pitch. If Correia will put this in his repertoire, I like the change of speed. I like how big the ball breaks. And I just think that was the last thing Brian Roberts had in his mind that he might get from Kevin Correia. Very effective.
Here's McCann, 2 ground balls to the right side. One of them turned into a double play. Drilled to right center. Arcia is going to try to cut it off, and it'll run to the gap. And McCann digging for second, and the throw offline. It's a 1-out double. And that'll bring up Soriano. Soriano, a right-handed batter, and we'll see if the Twins make a move here. They've had Swarzak warming up.
And here's the pitch to McCann, up and out over the plate. Too much elevation for it being out there in the middle of the plate. When a sinker ball pitcher throws it up and out there, the ball doesn't sink, and stayed right on the plane for McCann to be able to put a good swing on it.
Perhaps Correia left to face the hitters this inning, including Soriano, because he's handled them so well today. It hasn't been the middle of the Yankee lineup. It's been the top and bottom of the Yankee lineup that's given Correia trouble here today. Runner at second, 1 down. Popped up right side, and the wind may help push this out of play. Parnelly watches it go about 6 rows back. One strike. Pinto held it, didn't get the call. 1-1.
We've seen these situations an awful lot with manager Ron Gardenhire making decisions about staying with his starting pitchers for a couple of reasons. He feels like this is Correia's game. He's only given up 1 run through 5 1/3 here, and love to have him continue to be the pitcher of record.
Popped up center field. Hicks hustling in, still coming in. Out number 2.
Big out right there.
2 down. Fox Sports Supports is proud to collaborate with Stand Up to Cancer, a groundbreaking initiative created to accelerate innovative cancer research that gets new therapies to patients quickly in order to save lives now. For more information, visit foxsportssupports.com. 101 pitches for Correia. We talked often up here about pitches under duress, and just about every one of the first 40 pitches were thrown under duress.
Absolutely. But just to finish the thought that I started there, not only does manager Ron Gardenhire want Correia to continue to pitch this game because he feels like, we know that Gardy's personality is this guy's giving up 1 run through these almost 6 innings. It's his ball game. But also he would love to not have to bring his bullpen in the 6th. Love to make that decision more like the 7th inning rather than the 6th. So big inning here for Correia.
Solarte takes ball 1. We saw last night how well it can work. Your starter goes 6. And one of the reasons the case could be made, Caleb Thielbar had such a good 7th inning as he started the inning and finished it. Same to Casey Fien in the 8th, and then eventually Glenn Perkins in the 9th. Trying not to have a mid-inning pitching change. 1-0 to Solarte. 2-0.
Well, he's behind Solarte again. In the 4th inning, he got behind 3-1 and had to come in and right down the middle. Solarte put it in the seats in right center. And he's right back in that soup a little bit right here. I tell you, even though it's a 1-1 game, I would not give in to this guy. With first base open and 2 out, I would not give in to a ball down low like that.
Into right field. Arcia had to stop. The runner will be held at 3rd, and now a throw to second base. Got him at 2nd. They put the stop sign up for McCann. Arcia's throw on the fly to the plate. Pinto gunned to second base, and the inning ends with an out at second base.
Strong throw by Arcia. Strong throw by Pinto, out of the inning. Josh Willingham driving in the only Twins run. Driving in Brian Dozier, and Solarte driving in the only Yankee run. It's a 1-1 game with both teams having a lot of opportunity to get runs in and have been unable to do it. Looked like the Yankees were going to do it last half inning. And sometimes you can be right and do something right and turn out to be wrong. Solarte sees this ball go over the cutoff man's head, so he goes to second, and Pinto guns him out. It's because Arcia made a bad throw, but made a bad throw so strongly to the plate that Pinto went up and cut it off and made a gun throw to second and got Solarte. Solarte's got to think with 2 out and a tie score, he gets a base hit. They got to send the runner from second base.
Parmalee hooks it foul. Problem is Brian McCann can't run.
That's why I said sometimes the thinking is, on Solarte's part was kind of right, but he was wrong.
Infield alignment different now. Kelly Johnson over at first, Brian Roberts at second, Solarte at third. 1 strike to Chris Parmalee, and now 2 strikes. Parmalee, Pinto, and Hicks. As the Twins have faced these very good starting pitchers this year, the best game they had against the top flight pitchers was their 2-1 win over Justin Verlander. Phil Hughes pitched that game, and the Twins beat the Tigers in Detroit. We got another low scoring game here. We'll see who'll get the second run. Tapped up the right side, and Tanaka, did he tag him? Normally tagged, and Tanaka gets the out, one away. That'll bring up Pinto.
Tanaka actually does a good job here. That ball looked like it might have gone foul. If he could get to it before it did, he was going to get an out, and he was able to do that.
Pinto with a walk and a ground out to short. Nice play by Pinto, who caught the throw from Arcia. Arcia had to stop in right field. That was a flat-footed throw from medium deep right field all the way to home plate on the fly, but then Pinto shortened his throw by taking a step or two towards second base. Ball one to Pinto.
Pinto with a very nice play there, recognizing that there was going to be no play at the plate, but a possible play at second, and charging the throw and making a good strong throw to nail Solardi at second, get him out of the inning.
1-0. 1-1.
Here's Solardi's base hit. Gets an in-between hop from Arcia, gets an in-between hop, and then airmails everything all the way in. But Pinto comes up firing, charges the ball, which is, if he doesn't charge the ball like that throw, he doesn't get the guy at second. That's a nice play. It's a nice read and a nice play.
1-1 to Pinto. Strike on the outside corner. Twins with just 4 hits. Escobar has half of those. Tanaka's issued 2 walks, one of them to Pinto. There have been 2 Yankee errors. 2-2. "88 pitches, 60 strikes." Breaking ball got him. 2 down. We'll bring up Hicks. Check out MLB.TV Premium. See for yourself what millions of fans are already seeing. Watch every out-of-market game streamed live, online, or on the go, all in high definition. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Here's Hicks. A strikeout in the second, and a bouncer to short. Hicks's highlight here at Yankee Stadium might have come defensively last year when, from right center field, he uncorked a 310-foot throw to throw out a runner at third base. The ball slipped out of his hands, and he threw a strike from the length of a football field. There's the outside corner.
I don't think I've ever seen a throw like this one that we're going to see right here. A guy throw the ball as far as he did, as on line as he did, and have the ball slip out of his hand. That is one strong arm right there. That was an amazing throw. He said the ball slipped, and I believe him. Very few guys can have a ball slip out of his hand 310 feet.
Doink down the right field line, foul. And a hit here might trump that play if the Twins can turn whatever hit it might be into a run. 1-2.
I'll tell you, that catch he made last Tuesday night against Texas, jumping over the fence and robbing the Texas player for home runs, one of the better catches I've seen in center field too. He can still play some defense. Still struggling a little bit at the plate, but he can play some defense.
2-2. Came in for a ball and went back for a ball.
Very good at going both directions. This right here, though, the athletic ability and the concentration on that, and a tip of the hat from the guy that hit it, and rightfully so. That was one great play. 2-2
to Aaron Hicks. Called third strike. And Tanaka has not given up a hit since Escobar's one-out single in the fifth. And Kevin Correia gave up just one run over 6 innings. His line similar to Ricky Nolasco's last night. Let's check out some news and notes around the big leagues. Yu Darvish will start tomorrow for the Rangers. Remember, he did not start against the Twins. The only game the Twins won in that series. They still only scored a couple of runs. Oscar Taveras, who is to the Cardinals what Byron Buxton is to the Twins, is going to make his major league debut today. And for the Houston Astros, a 7-game winning streak, had a big crowd to watch the Astros play in Houston last night. They're outscoring the opposition 39-12, and it's great to see the beginnings, perhaps, of a rebirth of baseball in Houston.
Yeah, let's hope that's the case. They have really, really struggled. It's been ugly down there, and some of the young guys, George Springer is really giving them some life, and they're scoring runs. And they've got some good young players. I'm glad to see that. You never want to see an organization struggle that badly. Good for them.
The Astros will make up part of the next homestand. Twins next weekend will be playing the Astros for Houston's only trip to Minnesota. Brian Dunsing out of the Twins bullpen, 21st time. All the numbers good for Brian, and he'll try to replicate what the Twins bullpen did in last night's game, which is to pitch 3 scoreless innings.
And you're right, Dick. This is the ideal scenario when the manager wants to make a move. He's seen his starting pitcher had just about run as far as he can go. If they can get the bullpen in there to start innings, that's the ideal scenario. And he's got Dunsing here starting off with a left-hander against left-hander, and then a fellow in Brendan Ryan not swinging the bat real well, and so Dunsing's got a chance to get him off the field here.
44,346 the paid attendance tonight. A swinging strike on the first pitch from Dunsing. Ryan and then Gardner, another left-handed batter. Slow breaking ball, strike 2. Last night, Twins got 6 innings from Ricky Nolasco. Caleb Thielbar with a 9-pitch 1-2-3 7th. Casey Fiend actually gave up a hit, but had a relatively harmless and stress-free 8th inning. And then Perkins finished it up. 1-2. Just off the plate. Tough pitch to take. 2-2.
Well, sometimes a hitter will take a pitch because he knows it's a ball, and sometimes you take it just because you can't hit it. And that was the case of Kelly Johnson. Dunsing made a great pitch. He just froze him, and he lucked out that it wasn't called a strike. But Dunsing makes another really good curveball pitch on him and gets him on swing and strike. This is a great pitch from a left-hander to a left-handed hitter. Starts off looking like it's going to be in over the plate, keeps biting down hard, ends up below his bat.
Ryan will hit. We will show you our AT&T fan photo of the game. You can tweet a photo. Might be on TV at some point. Brought to you by AT&T. Taylor sending in that photo. One gone in the bottom of the 7th, and Ryan, the batter, popped up down the right field line, and Arcia runs out of room. 1 strike. Ryan bounced into a double play in the 2nd, fouled out to Parmalee, who made a nice play with his back to the infield on the warning track, leading off the 5th inning. Mighty swing and a miss. 0-2. And Pinto digs it out. 1-2. Activity in the Yankee pen. That means Tanaka will likely come out and pitch the 8th inning as well. Check swing. Nope. And it's 2-2. The word on Mark Teixeira, unfortunately for Yankee fans, he did leave the ball game with more trouble with his right wrist. 2-2. Foul tip, and Pinto can't quite hang on. The last thing Teixeira did with his wrist was start a 3-6-1 double play in the top of the 6th inning on the ground ball hit by Arcia. So whether it was that throw or maybe an earlier swing. 2-2. Deep to left. It's hooking. Foul.
This is an important out right here for Brian Dunsing. Really wants to get this guy out right here. We've got Brett Gardner turned over the lineup here. Gardner hits left-handers very well, hitting .322 against left-handers. And then Jeter behind that. Arcia coming hard and makes the catch. That's a big out.
Base is empty now for Gardner. Twins have not done a good job keeping Gardner off the bases. He's been on 5 times with 3 hits. Milwaukee also reached and scored last night after a fielder's choice. He's the one guy you don't want on the bases, and he's been there more often than not.
He's a real pesky hitter and I would call a pest type of guy in the lineup, and because he makes a lot of contact. He's real fast, so bad contact often turns into hits anyway. The reason he's so good against left-handers is because he doesn't try to pull the ball. He's content to let the ball get deep in the strike zone and slap the ball to left field. And when you do that, you're not as vulnerable to. You can see right there. kind of pushing his right hand toward left field as to say, I'm going to take this ball the other way, and that'll make me not flinch on that big curveball that I just took for strike one.
Fox Tracks brought to you by Carrier. You saw the numbers. Gardner doing better against lefties than righties.
I think against left-handers, he just doesn't try to do as much as he does against right-handers. He's content to let the ball get deep and try to slap the ball left.
Breaking ball taken for strike two.
I have to tell you, he's not seeing Dunsing's breaking ball really well. Those are two really, really good curveballs to Gardner, and Gardner flinched on both. And for a guy that hits left-handers well and is willing to wait a long time, he's flinching on that curveball early, which means that he's not seeing it well, and Brian's throwing in a real good spot with real big break.
He gets it again and gets a swing and strikeout. Good inning for Dunsing. 1-2-3 with a pair of strikeouts. His injured wrist heals well enough for him to start playing again. Brian Dozier will lead things off in the 8th against Matsuhiro Tanaka. Dozier's reached twice, both on Yankee errors. Bluffing a bunt, taking a ball. Dozier, Escobar, and Mauer here in the 8th. No activity in the Yankee bullpen with Tanaka approaching 100 pitches. Swing and a miss. 1-1.
Good split finger right there in a fastball situation. That's what makes it so tough as a hitter. You try to get yourself in counts. Most hitters want to hit the fastball, and you try to get yourself in counts where you're pretty sure a fastball's coming, and you just never are sure with this guy on the mound that there's ever such a thing as a fastball count. And that is the reason why Brian got beat on that fastball. He got a slider the first pitch, 1-0, fastball count, got a split finger. Now you don't know what's coming, and he throws a real good fastball right in the middle of the plate, and Brian was a little late on it, and that's simply because of the uncertainty of what this guy might throw in that count.
In his last start, Tanaka threw a season high 118 pitches. 1-2 to Dozier. And now 2-2. 2 starts ago. He suffered a loss against the Cubs. He didn't lose at all last year in Japan, not once. 2-2. Pulled foul. We said last night when the Twins added a couple of runs in the 8th inning that there have been so many big hits for the Yankees late in games against the Twins. It was nice to see the Twins get some big hits late in the game last night. They'll need a bigger hit here today. Twins had a 4-1 lead, but they tacked on a couple of insurance runs. Here we're tied at 1. High fastball got him, 1 down. And that'll bring up Escobar. There's a way to win 2 tickets to this year's Home Run Derby on the Budweiser roof deck at Target Field. Head over to Cowboy Jack's in Woodbury from 6:30 to 7:30 on Saturday evening, June 7th, for All Stars Unplugged, presented by Budweiser. Special All-Star event featuring Kent Herbeck and Tom Bernansky, who will undoubtedly regale the audience with All-Star Game stories and a lot more. And a lucky fan will head home with 2 tickets to the Home Run Derby. Check out the player appearance calendar on twinsbaseball.com for more info. Herbeck went to the first All-Star game I went to in 1982 in Montreal. Tom Bernansky in 1985 at the Metrodome. Escobar takes a strike, 1-1. 4 hits for the Twins, 2 of them by Escobar. Both singles. Swing and a miss, 1-2. All 4 Twins hits have been singles. Willingham with an RBI flare into right field to drive in the lone Twins run.
He's been pretty dominant, no question about it. He's never really felt like he was not in control of what he wanted to do.
To right field, and Soriano catches the line drive. 2 down. Escobar's had some good at bats against a guy who otherwise has been very tough.
Well, we can throw this many pitches in all different kind of counts. That split finger fastball. There's a running fastball on the outside part of the plate. Another split finger there. Another running fastball, a slider. You can see he's using both sides of the plate with all kinds of pitches at all different speeds, and that's really keeps hitters off balance.
Bauer at the plate, 0 for 2. 2 strikeouts and a double play grounder. Fouled away, 1 strike. To make matters worse for Joe, this is a DH day for him, and he's had very little else to think about than his at bats here today, and they have collectively been one of his worst days of the year. Came up with a chance to drive in the first run in the first inning, struck out. Second and third, nobody out in the 3rd inning. He struck out again, and then right after Escobar's single in the 5th, he hit into a 4-6-3 double play. 1 strike. Pounded up the line, right to Kelly Johnson, and Tanaka has an impressive 8th inning. The Twins going down 1-2-3.
a true professional on and off the field.
A guy that's going to be missed.
Played with him for a number of years. He was always a great leader.
Pretty good role model for people to look at.
One of the best icons of the game.
He's a guy I think that everyone loves playing against. You can respect the way he plays the game too.
Total respect for him, the way he goes about his business. Probably the most professional player you'll ever see.
One of the better human beings and baseball players to ever play this game.
And Jeter will lead off the 8th inning in a tie game. Brian Dunsing had a nice 7th inning. You'll be asked to at least start the 8th inning. Jeter with a double and a single against Kevin Correia, and then Correia got him to hit a fly ball to right his last time up. Check swing and ball 1. Bouncer toward Escobar, backhanding it, firing it on the run. Good play by Eduardo Escobar in the hole. Derek Jeter's taken so many hits away from the other guys in the hole. Escobar took one away from him.
Watch how quickly the transfer to the hand out of the glove, and then how strong that off-balance throw was. This is a terrific play because he's going to be off-balance here, have to throw across his body, make a strong and accurate throw. That is not an easy play. He made it look easy. That's a terrific play.
That's the type of play the Twins are looking for from Escobar. He's hitting, obviously, 2 hits again today, but you still got to have a shortstop who can make the plays, and Escobar's done that since he took over essentially for Pedro Florimon. Here's Ellsbury on the outside corner, a strike. Ellsbury walked in the first, since then a fly ball and a ground ball. Remember, Brian Roberts is in the on-deck circle. Mark Teixeira left with a bad right wrist. 1-1. Twins used both Caleb Thielbar and Glenn Perkins last night, and so Dunsing is asked to pitch parts of 2 innings anyway, maybe 2 innings complete. And now 2-1. Jared Burton limbering up. That's to center. And down for a hit. Ellsbury aboard. He's a base stealing threat. Another reason why Dunsing is in the game. Try to thwart the Yankee base running in the event there is a runner. First hit of the afternoon for Ellsbury. And now Roberts.
Ball wasn't hit very hard, but it wasn't one of Brian's better breaking balls from a location standpoint. It stayed up a little bit, and even when you jam a guy, or a guy jammed himself on a pitch like that, if it's up in the zone, big league hitters oftentimes strong enough to muscle it over the infield and in front of the outfielders.
Swinging a foul, 1 strike. Roberts, in his first plate appearance, struck out in the 6th.
I really think Jared Burton's up in the Twins bullpen specifically for Alfonso Soriano, for his spot. We got Brian Roberts here with 1 out, left-hand hit McCann on deck. Imagine Ron Gardenhire thinking ahead, looking at who's coming up. I think he's okay with Dunsing against Roberts. He likes the left-hander against the left-hander McCann. Soriano hits left-handers pretty well, and that if he gets to the plate in this inning, chances are Gardy's going to want a right-hander against Soriano. So that's kind of, I think, the thinking right now about having the matchups start to align.
Roberts is grounded into a team high 8 double plays, 5 of them from the right side in just 48 at bats. Twins have already turned a couple of double plays early in the game. small double plays and have turned just 31. (14 for 16 in stolen bases for Ellsbury. Been 3 throwouts at second base by, or 4 throwouts at second base by Twins catchers, all of them by Kurt Suzuki. And there goes the runner. Pinto from his knees, nearly threw him out. And now Hicks comes up, retrieving the ball in center field. Pinto threw from his knees, and it was a heck of a throw, but I think it hit Ellsbury as he was sliding into second base.
We'll take a look at it again. The pitch out and away. Pinto throwing from his knees and throwing the cannon shot down there, but it did hit Ellsbury in the hip.
Had it not, had Dozier caught it, it would have been a very close play at second base. Twins have to bring the infield in now with the go-ahead run at third. Rain starting to fall again. Up high. 3-1. And a walk will put Roberts aboard, and McCann will come to the plate. Lost a ball game the other night against the Rangers. The stolen base was the key play in the late run that the Rangers got, beating the Twins by a run. Now with 1 out in the 8th, Dunsing will try to pitch around it, and the rain really coming down here now. And doubled his last time up, was held at third, swing and a miss, and one hand came off his bat. And that's what you worry about both in the field and at the plate. Twins have not done well, for that matter, neither have the Yankees with runners in scoring position.
And this is a huge at bat. This is the matchup that Gardy wants. Dunsing against McCann. He's got to get this guy.
Field. The Yankees take the lead. Ellsbury scores. Roberts rounding second, on his way to third, and McCann trots to second with an RBI double. And it's the Yankees that get the big late inning hit here in the 8th inning this afternoon.
Yeah, breaking ball has stayed right in the middle of the plate, and as well as Brian was throwing breaking balls in the 7th inning, they have not been sharp and in good locations here in the 8th. And that ball was right in the middle of the zone for a pretty good hitter.
Soriano will be intentionally walked to fill the bases, and the 4th straight Yankee batter to reach. Intentionally walking Soriano to get Solarte to the plate, and all he's done today is get 3 hits, including a home run. Now they're loaded up. David Robertson was warming up. He might have pitched to the Twins in the 9th anyway, but Ron Gardenhire is going to make a quick trip to the mound, and he's already made a pitching change with Solarte coming up. Brian Dunsing had a good 7th inning, but ran into trouble here in the 8th.
Right. This is where McCann was going to be, as we talked about, McCann was going to be Dunsing's last hitter until he hit the double, and then he walks him to load the bases. Now it'll be Burton against Solarte.
Able to get his warm-up pitches on the game mound started. They're dressing the home plate area and the mound. Home plate, or crew chief Brian Gorman, the crew first base umpire, is about ready, I think, to put an end to things here, I'm afraid. Water is puddling up in the infield already, and I think I just saw him gesture to the Twins to come off the field. And another gesture, and we're going to have a rain delay here. The grounds crew did what it could around home plate and the mound, but the entire infield is got a sheen to it now with the rain that's fallen just in the last 15 minutes.
Yeah, as unfortunate as this is, you have to do it. It was coming down hard, and when you get this kind of puddle on the dirt part of the field, it's time to get it protected.
So late in the game, right after the Yankees have taken a lead of 2-1 and are threatening to break the game open with 1 out, we will have a rain delay here at the stadium. We thought we were done with it. We had a rain shower earlier in the ball game, and then it cleared out nicely. And I can guarantee you what's going to happen. As soon as they get the tarp on the field, the blue skies are going to be suspended over the ballpark here. Doesn't mean that the grounds crew won't be busy, but there's hardly any rain to be seen, and half of the sky is a beautiful light blue color.
Well, as we said earlier, this is just kind of on the squall line, and
look at this.
Yeah.
Get out the sunscreen.
You know, the rain comes from just to the left of what we're looking at, so we still have maybe a little bit to go, but it sure doesn't look like the kind of cloud formation that's going to mean a long amount of rain. I sure hope not. But I think you're right, Dick. As soon as they get this tarp on, it's going to be playable.
The weather will be. The infield obviously is going to need a little work.
Yep.
But at any rate, we are in rain delay officially here at Yankee Stadium with the tarp pulled on the field. You know, this all worked out well last night. And maybe because it worked out well last night, that's why Brian Dunsing was asked to go a second inning and run into some trouble here. The Twins used 2 of the 3 left-handed relievers last night, Caleb Thielbar and then Glenn Perkins, of course, at the end. And with this, this imbalanced Yankee lineup, a lot of left-handed hitters and the short dimensions here to right field, you'd like to have as many innings and outs as you can get from left-handed pitching. It just didn't work well for Dunsing the second inning.
Yeah, I think you're right on. I think, again, late in the game with a good bullpen, manager Ron Gardenhire just looks at the matchups going forward. And in the 7th inning, or in the 8th inning, as well as Dunsing had pitched in the 7th, you look at the guys coming up for the Yankees and you think, well, I don't want to use Casey Fien here after an inning last night. Here in the 7th, in the 8th inning. So I want Dunsing to go out there and get these guys. And if I have to use Burton, I will. But it looked like he had the best of it, and Brian just didn't throw as many quality pitches in the 8th as he did in the 7th.
Dunsing running into a tough time, and of course the odd man out in this equation was Caleb Thielbar, who pitched an inning last night through 9 pitches, but apparently was deemed unavailable for use again today, at least not in the 8th inning. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we'll return you to our studios, and Jack Morris, who had the best splitter of his era, will talk about Tanaka's splitter, and while we're in rain delay in New York. Job getting this field prepped and ready to go. The situation is this: the Yankees have just taken a 2-1 lead with 1 out in the 8th inning. Here's what's happened so far this afternoon.
Josh Willingham got the Twins on the board first with a single to drive in Brian Dozier, and then Solarte for the Yankees hit one in the seats off Kevin Correia. It make it 1-1. It had stayed that way until the bottom of the 8th inning when Brian McCann doubled down the right field lineup. Brian Dunsing scoring Jacoby Ellsbury. The Yankees will then walk Soriano, and that's where we are right now. Suzuki is running for Soriano at first base. The bases are loaded. Jared Burton is on the mound with 1 out, trying to stop the bleeding right here and get the Twins up in the top of the 9th, try to get the score back tied or take a lead.
Twins have the infield in here. Solarte already with 3 hits on the afternoon. First pitch on the outside corner, a strike. The Yankees have just taken the lead in the 8th. An intentional walk filled the bases. Brian Dunsing left. Jared Burton was summoned, but before he could throw one warm-up pitch, the rain kept coming. Eventually the tarp came on the field. Critical spot for the Twins, who find themselves down just a run right now. Foul back, 2 strikes. Solarte, the former Twin farmhand, responsible for the only run the Yankees have scored here today prior to the 8th inning. His solo home run to right, tying the game at 1. Two strikes to Yangervis Solarte. Told the story last night. The Yankees out of spring training committed to Solarte. That made Eduardo Nunez available, and he landed with the Twins up high, 1-2.
Twins defense playing about halfway out in the middle of the infield, which means if the ball's hit hard, they'll try to get 2 at second base. If it's hit softly, they're going to have to charge it and come to the plate.
Popped up. Infield fly rule should be called. It's on the mound, and Plouffe hangs on to it. Fans didn't see the infield fly rule call. It's a tough play for any infielder who had to go up and then back down the mound.
Especially with the mound in the shape that it's in, with the wet dirt over the underneath the drying agent that they put on. Burton really pitched Solarte very well. Here's a pop-up straight up over the mound. Burton's trying to tell somebody else, please catch the ball. Trevor Plouffe comes in and does that.
You could see Parmalee, as he stopped and tried to get out of the way, his foot skidded a little bit, so the footing on the mound not ideal. And now Kelly Johnson, bases loaded, everybody back at normal depth. The Twins have the middle of their lineup due up in the 9th inning. Willingham, Arcia, and Plouffe all homered in the game last night, so that's why it's critically important. Bouncer right side. Dozier with the stop, can't find the ball, and the run will score. And now it's 3-1 with Roberts coming in from third.
Well, the ball wasn't hit hard, and Brian Dozier makes a real good effort trying to get there. Just couldn't find the handle in time. Knocks it down, but can't find the handle. But this time right here, it's too late to get Kelly Johnson.
Base is still loaded, and a 2-run Yankee lead now. Brendan Ryan, the batter. Over for strike 1. Both runs charged to Dunsing, who had a quick 1-2-3 7th. Gave up a couple of hits and a couple of walks in the 8th. And right now, a couple of runs. Swing and a miss, 2 strikes. Puts an end to it. 2 runs for the Yankees. They take a 3-1 lead, and the power of the Twins lineup will hit against David Robertson when we come back. Yankees getting a couple of runs in the 8th inning to take a 3-1 lead. They're essentially linked to what's next. Final game of the series, and it'll be the Twins ace and former Yankee starter Phil Hughes going against Chase Whitley. Some business to conduct here this afternoon. David Robertson, the Yankee closer, will come in to try to pick up the save on a 3-1 ball game.
All you really need to look at is 27 strikeouts against just 4 walks. This guy, in a word, is tough. Throws hard, got a real good breaking ball, and tends to throw the ball over the plate. So the Twins are going to have to be ready for some good stuff.
Ichiro Suzuki in right field. And with the power in the lineup, the frustrating thing is that second run that scored. You're always one swing away from tying it up when it's a 1-run ball game. We'll see if the Twins can get somebody on base. Starting with Willingham. Ball 1. Robertson was warming up after even before the Yankees scored, and then once they scored, he was warming up in earnest, anticipating coming in. Then we had the 34-minute rain delay. It's, I suppose, plausible to suggest that the delay might have affected Robertson more than Burton, but that remains to be seen. Twins need to get something done against Robertson to prove the point. One and one to Willingham. An RBI single, a pop up, and a walk. 2-1.
Seeing the 2 kind of fastballs that David Robertson
features. He's thrown now the first and third pitch cutters, 89, 90 miles an hour, a la his predecessor, Mariano Rivera. I'm not saying that it's the same quality of cutter, but he throws it hard. It's an effective pitch. And then the middle pitch was a 92, 93 mile an hour fastball in. So 2 really good fastballs. There's another one. There's the straight one.
2-2. Oh, where was that pitch?
It just cut off the plate.
Wow.
92 mile an hour fastball with a little cut. Watch this ball look like it starts on the outside corner, cuts just a little bit.
Okay.
Just off the plate.
3-2 to Willingham, leading off the top of the 9th inning. Fouled back. 2 runs in the 8th, charged to Dunsing, earned runs. He came into this outing with just 3 earned runs allowed all year long. 2 of those in that extra inning affair he was asked to pitch 3 innings in against the Dodgers. In other words, he's been really, really good this year. But the Yankees got the base hit from Ellsbury, the stolen base, the error, and it just kind of fell apart after that. Another 3-2 to Willingham. Fouled back again.
Brian Dunsing has pitched very, very well and pitched a great 7th inning, throwing really quality breaking balls. And for some reason, and this just happens sometimes, in the 8th inning, the breaking ball just wasn't in the same locations, same good locations that he had in the 7th inning, and didn't have the same downward bite. And the Yankees got to him. An encouraging thing is, although Jared Burton did give up that little bleeder for a hit to get the 3rd run across the Yankees, he pitched well also.
Call 3rd strike. Willingham takes a call, 3rd strike, 1 away.
Again, a pitcher's pitch. I mean, this ball right on the corner. You can't hit that pitch. I mean, that's, you throw it 92 or 90 to 92 with a little cut on it right there. That's very, very difficult. Josh saying, how can he throw it there 3-2? How in the world can he throw it there right in that count?
Arcia 2 strikeouts and the ground ball double play. Tanaka really did a good job against Arcia and Mauer in today's game. Up high, ball 1. Twins do have some players who've had some success against Robertson. A handful of at bats, but Chris Parmelee's 2 for 3 with a double and a triple against him. He would hit 4th this inning. One and one. Pulled over the bag, foul ball called by Brian Gorman. Off the glove of Johnson, just a strike. Our carsoup.com trivia question: what road ballpark have the Twins hit the most home runs in? I would say here, and it is 14 of them, counting the 3 last night. Stadium in Anaheim, Fenway Park. Hope they're not done in this series. 1-2 to Arcia. 2-2.
There's that big breaking ball, the first one we've seen here in 2 batters. Good take by Arcia laying off that ball. After seeing all that hard stuff, that would have been very, very easy to swing, jump out there, swing over the top of that pitch.
Staying alive. 2-2 to Arcia. Plouffe in the on-deck circle. Three and two now to Arcia.
Okay, so he's going to get something hard here. Straight fastball or one with a little cut on it, and unless he can pull off what he did with Willingham, chances are it's going to be somewhere in the middle of the zone. So Oswaldo's got to gear it up. Just get ready. Look for something right down there in the middle of the zone he can hit.
On the ground, stumbling. Bryant can't make the play. That was probably footing related in one way, shape, or form. He didn't look like he had his legs under him when he was, and that is Solarte, the third baseman, who went to his left.
Right. Arcia hits this ball sharply. He went to his left, had the ball in his glove, and in the transfer, lost his footing just a little bit, and then that threw his tempo off there in the transfer.
It is an error charge to Solarte. Third Yankee error, and Plouffe comes up representing the tying run. Plouffe hit a home run to center field with a man aboard in last night's game. Ball one. Trevor's faced Robertson 4 times, 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts. At the knees, 1-1. Strike 2. Twins have just 4 hits and none since the 5th inning. One and 2. 2-2. Foul back. Robertson with 20 pitches, still only 1 out on the board.
Trevor trying to hang tough against 3 very distinct pitches. 92-mile-an-hour straight fastball, about an 89-90 cut fastball, and then that hard curve. Just trying to battle, keep getting the bat on it some kind of way.
High fastball got it. 2 down. And it'll be left to Parmelee.
Here's the straight one. Up and in after seeing the curveball and the cutters. Tough pitch to lay off. Real tough pitch to hit.
Parmelee, last 2 times he's faced Robertson, has gotten 2 extra base hit, a triple and then a double. Over the inside corner, strike 1. Blocked by McCann. 1-1. If Parmelee can keep the game alive, Pinto is in the on-deck circle.
Textbook block here by Brian McCann. Gets down to his knees early. Cushions the ball off the chest protector so it drops right in front of him. He's been around a long time, been a good catcher for a long time.
Pounded a foul off the front foot, and it's 1-2. Foul tip. And off the shin guard, I think, of McCann. Still 1-2.
Nasty pitch right there. Very hard for left-handers to lay off that pitch. A breaking ball down at the back foot of a left-hander. Left-handers like the ball down, and in. It's a home run pitch for Conway. That's a hard pitch to lay off of.
Very high, 2-2. Cubs haven't done much against Robertson, just the error, but he's thrown 26 pitches already. Strikeouts in the ninth, and the Yankees have evened the series at a game apiece. Tom Hanneman, things have changed here in New York, and while David Robertson didn't pitch with the efficiency of Mariano Rivera, the result the same. He gets the save, and the Yankees and Twins will play the rubber game tomorrow. Yeah, sure.